Well, good morning to you from myself, Dottie, and George on this glorious Tuesday morning. It's the 29th of October, 2024, and I am here to read your comments and comment on your comments. And the first one is on yesterday's positive news titled Amazing 14-Year-Old Scientist. A 14-year-old was given an award for an invention where it's a handheld thing where you can scan fruits and vegetables and it can tell you whether you've done a good enough job in washing them because it'll detect residual pesticides and things that aren't good for you. It's kind of a breakthrough device. Tommy says he's definitely going places. I agree. And Ken Gray says, damn it, I just checked in. Setiscan is not available yet. That's what it's called. Setiscan, P-S-E-T-I-S-C-A-N. Because I think Ken would have bought one. If it's available, I bet he will when it is. Lisa says, how did he get rid of all the pesticides, etc.? What is the device? And I just suggested she go into the description and watch the whole video. That'll give a bunch more information than that. Mine's just a synopsis. Renee on the comments video, laugh out loud. Your dog would only eat his homemade food one time and not eat it again. Our dog would only eat his homemade food one time and would not eat it again. Quote, leftovers. The vet even had it written in his chart there was a picky eater. Do you travel other than Eagle's Nest and Kew? Well, I'm in Quartzsite, so yeah. Yeah, I traveled to Eagle Nest, Quartzsite, and Pahrump, 3 places. And that can change at any time, but who knows? But for now, it's those 3 places. Cushman on the comment video, Camp Stove Toaster is available from Temu, Arion, Amazon, camping stores, etc. So I guess Cushman was trying to tell me I was wrong. Well, I get it, but I was talking about my specific toaster. It's called a Camp A stove, or Camp A toaster, excuse me. So it's Camp-A-toaster, and that is not available. She is correct. If you type in Camp Stove Toaster, there's a ton of them out there, but the one I have that I love so much, and I've had others, is no longer available. M. Campbell jumps into this thread and says, I actually found it for sales overseas only. The only place it was shipped to the U.S. charges $40. I don't think anyone would be willing to pay $80 for one. It would be cheaper to pay someone with a metal fabrication experience to make you one. So it's just not available anymore. And, I wonder if there was a problem with it or fire started. I can't imagine a firewood starter. It's made out of metal. It's not going to burst into flames. There is a way, if you're not careful in it, for crumbs and stuff to start collecting, and I guess that could catch fire, but I'm emptying mine out routinely so it doesn't happen. I don't know. I'm just speculating as to why they discontinued it, because it really works so well. 4-year-old generosity was the positive news from the day before about a little girl with they'd been diagnosed with autism that was giving away her precious stuffed animals to kids that she thinks lost theirs in the hurricane. Very generous little girl. Ken Gray says parents are raising their child right. I agree. So my long form video yesterday was pets on the road, and a little advice I give on my experience with having a dog and cat on the road. Wanda Hope Wandering. Greetings, Rob. I am wandering to come to Quartzsite for the RTR and the tent show. I have a minivan with a fridge, but I'm quickly discovering probably not enough power or a shower. I know there are many RV parks. This is one in particular you recommend. Are they walkable to the activities? Any info for someone who's never been there appreciated. I know this is off topic for your content today. That's fine. Unfortunately, I don't know. I don't have direct experience in any of the RV parks. I would look at a map in pick one close to the center of town. You can see where uh, Tyson Wells is on the map with where the Big Ten is, and then you can see the park. They're kind of on opposite ends of the town. So if you want to be walking, you want to be between those 2 points, and there are plenty of them, I think, that are between those 2 points right on Main Street, which is the main east to west, west to east thoroughfare, and there are lots of RV parks on that road, especially west of 95. So on Main Street, west of 95, quite a few there. Lots of them have good reputations. And I also recommended to her that she make reservations like immediately. She's talking about being there during the RTR, which is the Rubber Tramp Rendezvous, which is the week leading up to the Big Tent, and then she wants to go to the Big Tent. That is the single busiest time in Quartzsite, and that's when they book up. So call now. Let's see, Naj. Pets on the Road. And before I read this, let me explain what I had said. I warned people about predators and coyotes, especially in Quartzsite, and I even warned people that, you know, if you have a small dog and you're out walking them, still be careful, because I've heard rumors that dogs have been attacked while owners are walking them during the day. And I didn't, but I was like, I don't have any specifics on that. I don't know whether that's true. But Naj came in and said Box Van D, who is a YouTuber, I do know who that is, had her little dog attacked and killed by a coyote. Her doggie was tied up to the door, and she stepped in the box van to get something, and in a split second, the coyote had grabbed her little dog and killed it in front of her. And she was in Quartzsite when that happened. So that's and I'm sure Box Van D has a video on that, as heartbreaking as it was. And I'm sure that Naj, I'm sure she watched that video and is passing that along to us. So apparently the rumors I heard are true. M. Campbell on the pet video. I once read an explanation from a researcher who had done a study on scent abilities of dogs. They said that humans can smell a plate of spaghetti, and our noses pretty much just let us know it smells delicious. Dogs can smell the same plate of spaghetti, distinguish each and every ingredient and the proportions the cook used to make it. I have cats. They are leash trained. If not leashed, they are never allowed outside any further than their large enclosure. Each one has a tracker on their collar just in case. Ken Gray, when walking a dog, I usually take a stance and scan the surroundings. They squat. This lets them know they're being protected. And Tommy says, great show. Always forget George is really Georgette. Did George before you started do you have George before you started being a nomad? It's a he. I'm always saying she. When I refer to George, for some reason I stumble and say she, and George is a he, and I've had George for many, many years, long before I became a nomad. But George is a he, regardless of what you hear me say, regardless of the pronoun that you hear me use when I talk about George. Rose says, fun walk with Miss Dottie, special angel, good travel, pet tips, hugs to Jotty and Joy, happy, safe travels. Well, thank you, Rose. Rose has another on the 14-year-old scientist. I saw the video. Very interesting stuff those kids are doing. Young scientist is America's top scientist. Let's see. There's no way to pronounce this. Vewnz. Dottie's a lucky little doggy to have such a considerate daddy. Beautiful beef, peas, broccoli, berry, brekkie, so healthy. Really enjoyed your video. Thank you. Donna Wright, between solar and another backup, a thrift thinking person should be able to survive barbecue outdoors, save a lot of fuel or battery. And that was on 10 things you don't know about RVing in Quartzsite. And she's right. Solar and another backup, thrifty person, barbecue outdoors, save a lot on fuel or battery, you bet. On pets, Robin, Robin Goff says, good discussion topic, Rob. When I would walk my dog, they were doing their business, so I would turn around to give a little privacy, but to watch for anything threatening. Sadly, I don't have my dog anymore, but I have 2 male orange cats, and they keep me entertained for sure. Bill Coleman on this keeps coming up. Renogy inverter fails to start microwave. it's my video that just keeps on giving. I had the same problem with my 3,000 watt inverter. He finally found out it was the Chinese circuit breaker, just like me. That's what the video was about. It was the cause of my problem was a cheap Chinese circuit breaker that was restricting the flow of electricity into the inverter. I replaced it with a block type fuse, me too, and connected it directly to the battery, and that solved the problem. It sure did, didn't it? Poodle Professor on Pets on the Road. Very good points about the importance of smell in dogs. I travel with my 2 standard poodles and always take them on hikes and even go to dog parks if we find one out on the road. Nice video. Thank you. Another on the pet video, a bus and a PYR. Zen is my eyes and ears, since mine have diminished, and even this evening he was scanning the forest for a smell and sound when an armadillo walked under his legs and scared him, and I too. If I walked around us, it walked around us like it was a pet. Did an average of 6 miles in quartzsite last winter and will continue this season. I'm betting you live in Texas. I bet a lot of people will take that bet. He lives in Texas because an armadillo walked out of the woods and walked between his legs. It's funny. You won't have any armadillo problems in quartzsite. So EPH 1-4, hi Rob, could you please give us tips for checking out Boot90 sites for different size vehicles? For example, last I camped on by before I was in a van. This year I will have a Class A with a tow vehicle and considering going all the way to the LTVA. Definitely a different assessment process, even just assessing pulling in and getting out. Wondering specifically how to check to make sure a much heavier vehicle won't sink or get stuck or the sand in a site. I can't think of a place I stay in Laguna South, the biggest and most popular LTVA of the 4, and they're all right next to each other, south of town. And it's true that if you're out in the desert, you have to look, if you have a heavy rig, you have to look for any loose sand. But I've never seen it out there in that particular area. That's not to say it's not around quartzsite. You can get in trouble. But it's real hard pack. It's a lot more rocky and less than sandy. So, and you will get out there and you will see huge rigs parked everywhere. The only warning I would give you isn't where to camp. It's how to transverse, to how to drive across the topography. What do I mean by that? Is from a distance, it all looks perfectly flat, but when you get out there and drive, and there are tracks that look like, basically your basic dirt road, and they go everywhere. They're not official roads, but they're so well traveled that they've turned into roads. And people follow those roads to get back and forth to their campsite, or more importantly, to find a campsite. Well, here's what you got to be careful of. It isn't all flat because there's a series of washes, and a wash is where during the rainy season, where water comes in from the mountains and cuts like the bed of a stream into the desert. And when you go out there, there's not going to be any water in them. It'd be like an empty stream bed or empty creek bed. And many of these roads go through to get to the other side of those creek beds, or we refer to them as washes. Now, some of them are steep. Some of them are so steep that while a van might be able to get through them, a Class A would maybe get high centered or stuck in them. So you have to stop, take a look, can I get across this wash? Say you want to get to the other side of that wash. There are probably going to be multiple crossings, and you have to find a crossing that your rig can get across. When the place that I usually park in quartzsite is in the LTVA is actually pretty close to the front of the LTVA. But for order for me to get my rig there, I drive a mile down the main road to get to a crossing that I'm comfortable with in my rig, and I cross the wash, and then I come back the way I came parallel to that wash to get to my spot. So really, when I come in the main road, where I want to go is like right over there. I can see it, but I have to drive 2 miles to get there because there are lots of places to cross that wash close, but none of them would handle my rig, and I would get stuck. It would be horrible. And I have seen at least once a Class A get stuck badly trying to get over a wash at the wrong spot. So that's my advice to you. And Bill Snyder says, I enjoy seeing a video on GPS and how to get your coordinates. Do you have a GPS unit you can recommend? So there, I thought in one of my recent videos, I put let me see if it's this one. I put a link to how to find your GPS. Hang on. I think it was this video. Let's see. Let's go to the... I want to look at the description real quick here. Not there. Here's what I recommend. How to find, if you're using an iPhone, Google or not Google, but go to YouTube and type in the search bar how to find GPS coordinates with my iPhone or your iPhone, and it'll there's so many out there. I'm not going to do a standalone video on how to do it. And if you have an Android, type in how to find my coordinates with Android. It'll show you how to do that. I think it's really important. And I really thought I had done that. So in that video, Bill, I'm going to put a link to a couple of videos, and I'm going to do it right now. So by the time you see this, it'll be out there, and you can click on it. I'll do one for Android and one for iPhone, and you don't need a separate GPS unit if you have a phone. But in the car, I have just a plain old Garmin that I use in the car. Truck, rather. So, thanks for watching. You made it this far. You're my hero. Thank you. I appreciate it. And I will see you tomorrow.